Good morning and welcome to the Small Business Workshop. We are on session 6 out of 8. If you have missed the previous 5, don't worry. They are going online on our website as soon as we get them. The first 3 are already up, so you can learn a little bit more about what we have going on. As you will see, we are doing 8 sessions for this first round. Today we're going to talk about creating customer loyalty. And then for our 2 finishing ones, we're going to talk a little bit about your business taxes. I know everyone is super excited about that one. Don't hide your excitement. But then we're also going to do your continued business growth as well. So before I really hop into kind of our speaker for today, I wanted to just talk a little bit about our 2 title sponsors of this event, Spectra Bank and America's Credit Union. America's Credit Union couldn't be here today, but don't hold that against them. Bethany and Brandon is pretty much at everything that exists in this community. So I'm just going to do a quick what America's Credit Union is all about so that y'all kind of know. So America's Credit Union is not for your business, it's for you personally. They do credit cards, they do loans, insurance, you name it, anything for you in your personal home. They are a credit union, so you actually have to become a member of it, but the only thing you have to do is you have to live, worship, or work in Dallas County, and here y'all are doing work in Dallas County, so you're all eligible, which is, I feel like Oprah when I say that, like you get a membership and you get a membership. So check them out. They have been truly amazing partners helping us launch this program. And then my other partner, Spectra Bank, Julian, why don't you just come up here and talk a little bit about Spectra as well?
Thank you. Well, good morning. My name is Julian Woolman. I'm a commercial lender with Spectra Bank. We focus on small businesses, pretty much all of you in the room. Alex mentioned America's Credit Union is highly invested in the communities. So are we. We obviously offer business services only. We do personal accounts, but our specialization is banking for businesses, helping you grow your company, buy that building you don't know if you can afford yet, and that's my job to help you see if you can actually afford it and help you out in leasing. We have great leasing partners, help you out with that, and that's where we can help you save on taxes a little bit, put some more money back in your pocket. We also specialize in money service businesses, which are check cashing places. So I just want to put that out there. That is a vital service throughout DFW and a very underserved community, which is a passion for me. I really like dealing with those business owners and serves the communities very well. Other than that, I think we're about ready to listen to our speaker. All righty, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Julian. I appreciate the partnership. Julian was actually the first one that raised his hand, and he said, I want to do this. I want to help put some free small business workshops on for the Mesquite Chamber of Commerce. Y'all are here, so you already know, but all of these are free. We don't care if you're a member or not. We are just here to give out free information so that y'all can grow your businesses. I'm just going to do one quick plug, what else is going on at the Chamber. So in next week, we're doing our next monthly luncheon. The topic for that is our annual meeting. We celebrate successes from last year, but we're also looking into what's going to happen this year. So it will have a couple of cool awards where there will be a live vote in the audience. We'll also be looking for feedback on how we can improve as an organization because, again, this is not our organization, it's our business owners' organization. And then for some free speed dating networking events, we do those on the second Thursday each month in this room. So check that out. Again, completely free. We don't care if you're a member or not. So I'm going to just do a very super quick introduction of our speaker today. I met with Chase just a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this topic. Julian was one of the ones that was helping me find a speaker for this, and he said, well, Chase does amazing things. And within sitting down with Chase in the first 5 minutes, I realized, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. So I'm going to let Chase kind of introduce himself and take it from here. But Chase, why don't you come up here and tell us a little bit about customer loyalty?
Morning, everybody. I'm Chase Mortensen. I'm born and raised in the Dallas, Texas area, specifically from Carrollton, Texas. And I've been in this industry for, 6 years now. I really think that this is a really good topic of conversation when it comes to working with your customers due to the fact that loyalty is huge. When you're going to make a transaction with somebody, you need to make sure that there's value being brought there, but then also you need to make sure you're loyal to your word. You need to make sure that you're providing the service that you have, providing the right numbers that you have, providing the right people, and making sure you check on them. So I guess I kind of want to start off with the Q&A because we're talking about loyalty. If anybody wants to chime in, if you had to define loyalty, what would you be? What would you define it as? Yeah, so I think we're all kind of on the same page here. Making sure you're staying true to your word, making sure that you're doing the right things so you can get referrals and grow your business. But just being the same person you are from the day that you met somebody. I think that's huge. And that's really what we strive in here at BBSI. And just to give you guys an idea, I'm going to go over the business a little bit and give you guys ideas on just kind of the tactical piece of how we work with businesses and how we can recreate that loyalty by, one, on the front end, by making them become a customer, but then on the back end, how we're really helping them on the service end, like why they're investing in us. I always tell somebody when I bring them on as a client, I want you to look at this as an investment, not an expense. Because if it's an expense, you're not happy with what's going on and it's not making a difference in your life, but if it's an investment, it's truly making an impact on you and it's a good thing. So looking over this. So just give you kind of an overview on us. Founded in 1951, incorporated in 72. We're headquarters actually in Vancouver, Washington. It says 7, we have actually grew to $8 billion in revenue with no debt, which is really awesome. And the great thing is we work in all 50 states. And a little bit of background on me personally with BBSI is I started their office here in the Dallas, Texas area, covering all of DFW back in September of 2022. But I wasn't new to the industry, so knowledge base was 5 years prior, doing the same thing, and actually with what I do, I thought it was a broken model, to be honest. Because the reason being is we talk about small business. Everybody says, hey, let's do these things to help people out. But then in my industry, let alone, it feels like you have to fit in a pretty little box. Because there's 3 things that we really focus on. And a lot of these times, business owners really only have one need of them, maybe 2, maybe all 3, and that's great. But when you get to this conversation of, oh, hey, we can do all this for you, but the kicker is you have to do all these things too. And you might be in a position where you don't want to make that transition because it's difficult to make change within a business. We all know that, or personal life. So then BBSI came to the table and we really say, hey, let's work with you as a business owner and what the stages you're at. And then from there, we can get you to the points that you need for these other things that we want to tackle. And I feel like that's kind of a testament to the loyalty fact of, hey, I'm not going to try to do what you need for me to be successful. It's the other way. Me as wanting you to be a customer, let's work with you. Let me be loyal to your situation, your people, your organization, what your dreams are. Like everybody within a business started it because they had a dream, they knew they were good at something. But then when it comes down to it, there's all these back office things that come into play, managing people, being loyal to your people. And so that's easier said than done. So I say BBSI, I put this slide up because I feel like I always say the 4 letters and then people either don't understand what I'm saying or don't know who I am. So BBSI stands for Barrett Business Services Incorporated. And then the industry we're in, technically what our product or base is called a PEO. So I guess with the show of hands, has anybody really heard of a PEO before within the community? Okay, a few of us, awesome. Well, it stands for Professional Employer Organization, and it's a very unique model. More times than not, you see these business owners, when they're growing, they go to these larger behemoth companies, but they get a lesser service model because it's, hey, I want this technology or something of that sort because I want this to be a situation that's out of sight, out of mind. I actually had a client or a potential client I was talking to had all of these things that she had issues with what she was using prior. And I basically told her of the implementation that we can put into place and how we want to help her grow, be on the back end, show that loyalty there. Hey, we want to work with you hand in hand, day after day. But she said, quote unquote, I want to be out of sight and out of mind. And really working with, as a business owner, working with people, worry about human resource issues, it doesn't go away, unfortunately. The more people you have, the more issues come about. It just is what it is. Even though they're the most valuable asset, things come about. It is what it is. So just to dive into what we are. Professional employer organization. I screenshot this off of Google if you can't tell, but it's a type of full service human resource and outsourcing known as co-employment. In this arrangement, the PEO has various employee administration tasks such as payroll, benefits, administration on behalf of the business. So really wanted to show this just so you guys have an idea of the definition, that it's a full tackle situation of bringing in a service to a business owner. And really when I say that, why I bring loyalty into the situation is because at the end of the day, our goal is to bring a team to the table for a fraction of the cost for a business owner not to feel alone. So I think at the end of the day, if you're helping a business owner feel like you have somebody in their corner, somebody to hear them out, somebody to give them advice, you can't really display loyalty better than that, in my opinion. So the value that we bring to the business owners: strategic management consulting, workers' comp coverage and administration, payroll administration, retirement help, human resource support, risk management, staffing and recruiting. And how we do all of this is actually through our team comprised of. So it's these 4 people. So business partner, her name in my company, on my team is actually Kim Christensen. She's been doing it for now 21 years of being a business partner and working with business owners to help lead them in the right direction. A human resource consultant, her name's Cindy Round. She's located here in McKinney, Texas with me. She works hand in hand with our clients better than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, lives in McKinney, drove to a client in DeSoto. It's actually a client of Julian's too, and it's been really cool to see that she'll go out and spend 5 hours with a business owner to button up everything and help educate them and make them feel like, hey, you might not be aware of these things or you might need help here. Let's build out a game plan and tackle these things, or employee engagement issues. But if you ask me, if you're making an hour drive and spending 5 hours with somebody and you're willing to do it over and over again for them to feel comfortable where they are, that's an investment. That's being loyal to your customer and making sure that they feel like you're putting their best foot forward. And then the things too, we can dive into it and have Q&A here in the middle of it, but the strategic management consulting, that is really the big kicker for me. That's where we are sitting down with the business owner, not just Cindy, but really our whole entire team. And we're really sitting down with them to give them goals, to go over inflection points of the business. It's really the kicker for me, where it's like, okay, this is on the back office that we're doing on a quarterly meeting where we see people excited to talk to us because we know we're going to make a difference in their life. And then to talk on it too, the payroll analyst and the risk and safety consultant. So our payroll team's comprised about 5 different people that we rotate, just because, as you can imagine, payroll is not what people got into business for, and it can be complicated with all the different type of job costings and things that come on with these type of businesses. But then the risk and safety. So that's my partner, Mickey and Michael. They are such a huge value. Combined experience, I think they have 30 years together. But that's really where I want to be more involved within the Mesquite area, within all the area here for the chamber. Really, because I feel like we see these manufacturing businesses, restoration, trucking, whatever they may be. But that's where they become a huge kind of loyalty partner for them. They keep them true. They make sure that they have an advisory partner there to make a difference in their day-to-day life, because let's be honest, business can be risky. Depending on the job that you're type of in, people can get hurt. There's liability on you. And what better way to show loyalty, in my opinion, than having that trusted advisor there to say, hey, let's go talk to your employee. Let's go help take care of them. Let's make sure that they're not losing money on the table to take care of their family. Because at the end of the day, that's why we all work. And that's a huge value add, in my opinion, why I love working with our business owners. I'm not going to dive into this too much. I just wanted to show this on here. Any type of business like mine that you work with or partner alongside to help your business grow faster, you're going to have some sort of technology. So just to go in here, our payroll technology is very, very user-friendly, and it really helps out business owners to navigate. And the biggest thing is employees. They always have questions. What are my benefits? Where's my check? Where can I get a W-2 so I can have proof to go buy a home? All of these things. Well, having an easy access portal is huge for them, so that way they can not really have to bother you, but if they do, they have a place to be pointed and they have the help for that. So this is huge here, obviously human resource support. So what do business owners always want to do to their employees? They want to stay loyal to them. They want to make sure that they're thriving in the job they're doing, making sure that they feel that they're wanted, that they're needed, that they're going to have a place to grow within the company. But with that being said, there's also support that needs to be had around those employees, because as a business owner, they can be great to have employees, but they also can be a liability for you, where you can get yourself in trouble. So this is just a bullet point things of here that we really do. The biggest ones is the employee relations, the employment law compliance, wage and hour compliance is huge, pre-employment hiring gates. I really bring in this, I know this is a ton of bullet points, but like the biggest one here in my opinion is the onboarding and orientation. And that can be for us bringing on the employer and then the employer bringing on an employee. I think one of the biggest value adds is challenging an employer with our team, but not in a way like, hey, we want you to feel dumb. We want you to start thinking. We want you to start getting out of the norm of what you're used to. And one of those is, what's the culture of your business? What's the first day look like for a new employee? Because when they come in, you want to make sure it's the best day of their life. They feel wanted. They feel, hey, I'm excited to work here. I want to be here for a long time. And the reason you do that is because on the back end, that brings us back to our whole topic of talking here, loyalty. Okay, these people from the first day made it feel like I was the most important person in the world. They wanted to make sure I felt comfortable. They wanted me to make sure I felt acclimated and I knew what was going on with my job, that I had an understanding of what my responsibilities were. And now I want to work for these people harder than I ever have, day after day, year after year. And you can't have better loyalty within a community and within a business. The risk and mitigation loss control. To be honest, this is where I really lean on my risk people. I came from an employee benefits insurance world and then into this, to where I really love the support of helping out with business owners. But when it comes to the risk, you talk to my risk guys and it feels like they're talking another language sometimes because there's so many acronyms and so many things that go into play. But the reason I think this is so big is, one, because you want to make sure your employees are safe. Because back to the point I just made, you don't want them losing income. You don't want them being hurt. You don't want a death. You don't want a family of an employee of yours losing a loved one, not being able to support children. But then also too, on the reverted side is, as a business owner, it's in their best interest, because the last thing you need is from a death, a broken leg, whatever it may be, and then you're not insured or doing the things the right way to be compliant, or trainings or certifications or whatever it is, and then your business is going under. So that's where we really want to stay loyal to making sure that we're keeping our business owners accountable, and as well as ourselves accountable, to help out these businesses to thrive within the community. Because let's be true, the small business community is huge, and that's what builds up all of our different cities within the DFW area. And then the work comp coverage. So this is kind of to go into the risk and loss portion that we just talked about, but just kind of dive into it. This is reverting back to the employee engagement here, making sure that they're taken care of. But then the biggest thing is too, so you have obviously aligning financially, align with the broker, pay as you go. So these are all things that make it easier for an employer to keep track of these things, that they're insuring their employees the right way. But then the strategic thing around this. I think that one thing that people forget about is, yes, you have insurance, and then a lot of people think, hey, when it comes to it, I don't want it at the moment, but now I want it when I need it. And then when you need it, then there's another layer to it. How do I use it? And I think that's the biggest thing with anything in this world we live in, is consumer education. I don't care if it's insurance, buying a coffee maker, whatever it is. Having that just knowledge of how to use something is huge. And that's where we add this extra layer in here to make sure that, hey, you might have somebody that's injured, but instead of going into the insurance right away to support that injured person and say you're using that to pay their salary for month after month for the next 6 months, well, rather than using that and then your costs are going up over the following year, let's look at a cost analysis there. And then from there we can look into that situation of paying that person. They might not be working there, but doing what's right by that employee because they've done great work for you, and staying loyal to them to make sure that they're not losing income. They might not be there, but then their family's supported. So then what do you think happens in that back end? They come back working harder because they said, hey, he respected that I got hurt doing hard work for that person. They wanted me to take care of my family. They wanted me to get healthy. That person is going to know that you as an employer wanted to make sure that they were taken care of. They're going to come back, work harder than ever. And that's huge with what we do. We want to make sure that our employers are getting that education, that guidance, because lo and behold, the employees that you get the best out of are the ones you're most loyal to. And then just some value-added things here: employee discounts, employee assistance programs. So that's a great kicker, and I'll dive into that. But the 401k and the flexible spending account. So 401k, I think we're all educated. I don't need to dive into that, but creating loyalty there. Hey, you're going to work for me forever, or for a while, but not forever. And with that being said, I want to make sure that you're taken care of in the back end for when you hit retirement. That's showing loyalty to your employees. We want to make sure that you're saving to have a flourished life when you hit retirement. And then the employee assistance program. So I think this is a huge active display to being loyal to your employees. I just talked about them being heard, you want them to come back and felt taken care of. Well, this is kind of a next step. I guess the question I have, what are some things when it comes to just society these days that people are having issues with, whether it's sickness, mental health, like what are you guys seeing within the community? I'm curious, or on news or whatever. I bring that up to talk about the employee assistance program because we're very influenced these days, let's be honest. Social media is one of the biggest things. I mean, you can go scroll all day, every day and be like, okay, I'm in Mesquite, Texas doing this job. I have a great family. I have great loved ones. But now I'm on Instagram and I'm seeing somebody that's in Cabo on a private jet, and then they're going to Greece and then all of this, and they're 25 and built a business because they look good and they post pictures and all these ads want to pay them. Well, as much as that sounds silly, people think that way and that affects people's mental health. And that's where the employee assistance program comes in. You can support your employees by this and say, hey, and I'm not saying that directly, but there's things that happen in people's lives and people want to talk to people. People want to be sought after to say, hey, somebody cares about me. And that's where this really comes in to be a big value add prop to your employees. I'm just going that extra step. It's going to create that loyalty even further. Yeah, that's like the base layer of what we do. That is, we bring on a new client and really just kind of building that value add on the beginning. We'll do it on the front end too if they have questions on it. And that's kind of the whole point, is getting a client intertwined with what they're going to see throughout the whole relationship. We had a client that had been with a competitor for 6-7 years, and kind of the point I'm making is a lot of people think of this and say out of sight, out of mind, no issues, no problem whatsoever. And we're spending a good amount of money to get the help from this group, but like I said, out of sight, out of mind. Well, when we start diving into the things that are base layer, like job descriptions, handbooks, PTO tracking, all these things, well, we want to make sure that we're documenting that and putting it over into our situation. Well, we looked at his handbook that had job descriptions and everything, and that hadn't been updated since 2015. And so in his eyes, it's, I haven't had any issues, there's no problem. But being out of sight, out of mind can sometimes not be a good thing. So in that opinion, that's kind of where I revert to loyalty, and what we're talking about is, yeah, you might be making money off of that customer and they might not be coming to you with any issues, but what are you doing to make sure that you're improving their business? And that's one of the things I think is kind of creating that loyalty to say, hey, you haven't asked me about this in about 6 months. There's some laws that have came in, or you've told us you're hiring XYZ new jobs for your business because you want to hire 5 people here, 5 people here, 5 people here. Well, we need to start going over job descriptions and going over these details and making sure that people have an understanding of where they're at. And you being us being proactive doing that for the client really shows the investment that they're making. Hey, these people are loyal to me to show that they're going to protect me when I have a new person come on. And the reason I bring that up is because somebody that's an employee signs a handbook and they're like, okay, I'm in this type of job. Well, now Mr. Small Business Owner is making me do X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm working overtime, not getting paid for it. And because he was that mad at me, now he let me go. Well, now that person can go and file a lawsuit against him for wrongful termination. And then they dive into it more, and they have the handbook that hasn't been updated in X amount of years, and they got brought on for a job that's not even in there. Well, who do you think is going to be in trouble? The business owner, because they're not covering their tracks and they're making somebody do everything under the sun when they had them come in to trim paper in a paper sheet, like whatever it may be. So really just protecting them.
So if that job description gets written and at the very bottom it says, and other duties as assigned, does that get off the hook?
That is a very good question. We've actually ran into that. I would not advise anybody to put that on the job description. It's a little, go ahead.
Really? Why is that?
It's very vague in that situation.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like you're asking to be.
Yeah, it's like saying, it's like saying like, hey, you're in gym class, you can go run a mile today, and then they can get done. And they're like, actually, no, you got to run 3 more. And they're like, what are you talking about? And it's like, oh, I just thought of it. Like, it's a good idea. Go keep running until you throw up. Like, nobody's going to do that. It's liable. What were you going to ask?
So in your staffing recruiting piece, with AI and ways going today, and with turnover and recruiting being such a big issue,
Yeah, for sure.
are you seeing any kind of progress with using AI technology to be able to identify high risk either turnover factors with employees or with recruiting? I'm looking at guys had 15 jobs in the last year, right? Because resumes aren't always real.
For sure.
So have you seen anything out there for that?
That's something where on the recruiting leg, to be honest, we haven't dove into that as much just with building the brand here in BBSI, but we do work hand in hand with our team that's located in Salt Lake and Denver. And I think the one thing that with AI, yes, because we do use a good amount of technology. I can't even remember the portal that we necessarily use, but it's one of the main known ones for recruiting. I will say that yes, AI is helpful in that situation, and obviously being able to negate out the candidates that you might not want. I'm not going to feel like I'm going to answer that question direct, but maybe give a little bit of a different scenario. When it comes to the staffing leg, we kind of go a little bit of a different step rather than a true staffing company. And the reason we say that is we're going to an employer that's a client, and they don't even have to be a client, but we're not going to them and saying, hey, we recruit for these specific positions. We want to recruit, like, you're an employer of ours and what jobs you need filled. And then from that standpoint, we kind of, it's very broad in what we do. But I feel like when it comes down to it, the technology that we do have does help kind of weed out the good and the bad. But I feel like in that situation too, when you're doing like temp to hire or full hire, I feel like that's where the personnel comes in really well, is being able to kind of talk to the business owners, see what they're looking for, and then kind of use that human interaction with the team and everything to best help suit the position that they're looking to get filled, if that helps out. Is there any other questions on that situation? I just want to make sure I'm making everything clear, crossing T's, dotting I's. Okay, cool. Oh, shoot. Okay, so opportunity identification. A lot of the business owners I look to work with and to help out in the community are in high place or high risk injuries. So obviously I dived into the workers' compensation insurance and the risk and safety people with Mickey and Michael. This is really, really nice because in the sense of what I do, a lot of these people don't want these high risk injuries or high risk companies to come in, just because in the sense of dollars to claims, sometimes it can be a little tricky. But with us, we love working with these business owners because they really appreciate the foot forward that we bring to them. We truly do build the loyalty with these high risk companies because sometimes they feel alone. Sometimes safety policies take forever to create, whatever it may be. So that's why we love working with these type of businesses. And then the ones that are experiencing growth and change. How many in here have owned a business at all? Yeah, or own, excuse me. I think all of you guys can probably agree, the more you grow, the more pain you feel. It's not easy to bring more people on. It's not easy to gain more revenue and then say, okay, what do I need to do with this to take care of my people to then also grow the business in X, Y, and Z ways? So those are the type of businesses that we want to bring on. And the reason I say that, this is actually not a growth. It was not necessarily a decline either, but a shift in business. We have a client basically in the real estate space, and they were a really small business, like less than 20 employees. But basically, lo and behold, the employees of the owner have to go out and find new business for them. But in the time being, the owner was giving them a draw so that they have compensation, they can get taken care of for their families and loved ones. But when they obviously make a deal, they get the draw money sent back to the owner. It's basically pick and choose on that situation. Well, the owner came to us and was like, hey, I'm being frustrated with the scenario that's going on right now. Like, my people aren't selling. I feel like I'm just throwing money to the wind and I'm not getting anything back in my pocket, and it's hurting my business. Can I get on a call with y'all and can we figure this out? So he gets on a call with our team. And that was on Thursday. We got on a call Friday afternoon, and from that, this is really cool because we get to see the situation where an owner feels comfortable enough to come to the table and use us to vent about how he feels, but then he knows that we're going to come back and say, hey, here's the pros of this and here's the cons. And here's where your liability lies before you make this decision. And that's where we really want to create that customer loyalty and show them that, hey, this is an investment in this conversation. And really he was saying, hey, my people aren't selling, so then he wanted to convert them all to contract rather than W-2. And then so we're saying, hey, here's all the liability that it lies. But then also too, he's got a business lawyer in his corner, and then also it's that type of industry where you can teeter-totter between full-time employees underneath your company or contracted. It doesn't really matter. But lo and behold, he ended up making that decision after talking to his lawyer because he thought it'd be the best foot forward for the growth of his business in the sense of revenue. But with that being said, a lot of the times, like a good fit, because I'm going in these opportunities, is people that are really around, I feel like, the 5 to 10 employee mark and up, because that's when they're feeling those growth pains. That's when they're starting to strive more. But then on top of it, we're an investment. And I keep saying that because you got to make sure the dollars work within what we're doing. And I totally understand that. I'm never going to tell somebody you're doing it right or wrong when I'm talking to a customer / business owner, because I don't know the life they're living. I don't know the business that they're running from the ground up. It's their baby, and I have to understand that. But with that being said, he understood the value that we were bringing and understood it so much that he is only using us for him and his office manager, because we can't really help out with the contracted employees, but just in the sense of that he has an advisory group that he knows he can go to whenever he wants and have an intricate call and get advice on. It was really cool to see that in the sense of, hey, it might be expensive for you, it might not make sense on paper, but you know on the back end the support you're getting, and if it's worth it to you, then that's awesome to see. New businesses too. Starting up a new business is hell and high water, to say the least. And so being able to support them, you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. So that's where we really come in to help them out. Hey, I have this situation going on, or I'm looking to add these people, or I might be looking at starting this type of new product, or here's where my finances are at. Do you think I should invest in this? And that's where we really help them out on that side. And then those other ones I don't really need to dive into. So how many people in here even know what workman's comp insurance is? Okay, cool. I'm just making sure, because insurance is probably the most confusing thing in the world, I feel like. So workman's comp insurance is basically, as an employer, you invest in it and usually do $1 million, $2 million policy, and it basically covers you if somebody gets hurt. So you're covering wages, so they're not out of pocket on that, and then any injuries, so hospital bills, all of those things, medical expenses. You're doing that, so hey, somebody gets hurt, okay, now I have a policy to cover up to $1 million, $2 million, rather than me as the employer pulling out all this money out of my pocket. That's actually the business's money, and that's avoiding you going under, basically. So we say pay as you go. So not necessarily a broken, but the model that it's always been with insurance companies is owner's going to pay at the beginning of the month, and they're going to have that insurance month after month to cover them for the month. Well, a lot of the times too, you see these insurance companies that are saying, hey, here's your policy, that your premium basically for the year. Go ahead and shell this money out so we have basically a money sitting in a pool here, so if anything happens, we just pull money out of there. Well then, lo and behold, at the end of the year, the big, I don't know, people look at it as a positive, I look at it as an old way of thinking, but basically you have this pool of money and say you don't use it. Well, at the end of the year or the beginning of the next year, the company comes back and says, hey, great job. Here's a check with this multiple thousands of dollars, but all it is you getting your money back that you didn't spend. And I guess internally that's like, okay, cool, I have money back, but at the same time too, when I'm thinking as a business owner in cash flow, because cash is key, I don't want all that money just sitting there for a in-case situation. I want it to be in my pocket, because what if there's $250,000 in there and I need that for the next 2 payrolls? But it's sitting there and then I'm having a hard time with revenue coming in or sales being taken care of, or I have AR, well, that money would be really nice. So I'd rather keep it in my pocket. So when I bring it as pay as you go, to dive into workers' comp too, it is that and employee health benefits are 2 insurances that are a part of payroll, because they're a deduction of payroll. So every time you're on a payroll and somebody gets paid, out of their paycheck, you're taking out the costs that they're paying for the employee benefits and the costs that they have for the workers' compensation insurance to cover them. Well, we do it pay as you go because, and what that means is truing it up. So instead of you shelling all this money on the front end, we're just going to charge you based off the payroll amount, because that it's a percentage of your payroll. So every time we run payroll, we just deduct it from there. So you're covered annually and you're taken care of by BBSI, but we want to make sure that cash is in your pocket and it's trued up so we're not having to do this, hey, we owe you money back at the end of the day game.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Why no audits? How do you know that they're paid into workers' comp the correct amount?
No audits. So that's the thing is when it says audits, it's because we're doing it based on each payroll. So it's trued up every payroll. When it says audits, that's what I'm talking about. A traditional carrier would say, hey, give me this pool of money. And then at the end of the year, they audit how much payroll was inclined because people fluctuate in the sense of I added employees or I had less employees. So then they audit you to true it up at the end of the year. So that shows what amount of money in that big lump sum you gave, you get back at the end of the year. So when we say no audits, it's basically saying we don't really need to audit you because we're truing it up, auditing it every single time we do payroll. So twice a week or every other Friday, twice a month, once a month, every week, whatever it is. So that answer your question?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm guessing you could do a whole workshop on workers' comp.
Yeah.
For small business owners, because it's sticky.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's that's a really big value add for us, just in the sense of kind of the flexibility we have around it. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that one. So the last thing I want to do until I finish up is I just want to go over a case study. This company, it's on our website, and this company is actually based out of Salt Lake City. Funny thing is, why I wanted to bring this up is I actually got to go in my beginning stages of being with BBSI in September to December of 2022. I got to go shadow 4 or 5 of our offices, the more established ones that have the team in the office and everything, get to see the loyalty they're bringing to the customers and really just everything that they're bringing to the table and get an idea of what BBSI is, how we're different. And I actually got to meet this guy. And funny enough, just kind of a background on it is I walked in, so basically this is a warehousing storage facility and they do packing, shipping, whatever. When I walked in there, I was with the team. He came out of his office around the corner to the front desk where we were and just started shaking all of our hands, the biggest grin I've seen, and goes, oh my God, I'm so excited you guys are here. We've been looking forward to this meeting since the last one. And I was like, what's going on here? What? I've been in this industry. What are you guys doing for this guy? Like I'm confused. I've never heard that before. And then even to go further back, I go to the guy that's running the branch in Salt Lake City after, and I go ask him, I go, that was an amazing meeting. Like just how involved they were, how much they cared to be there, how much they wanted to learn more, how many questions they had. Like, that's a great client. And he goes, oh yeah, that guy wouldn't meet with us for 6 months. And I go, no way. Like that guy looked like he didn't want us to leave. And lo and behold, he said that he had to trick him to coming in their office. His partner did, because it's 2 guys that run the company. And he had to trick him into going. And he walked in and goes, oh no, I'm not doing this. I can't believe you brought me here. And literally our manager was like, hey, spend 30 minutes with us in here and just talk. And if it's a waste of your time, I'll never bother you again and you'll never hear from me again. He ended up spending 6 hours in the office, canceled 5 different meetings that he had to step out of just because it was that intricate and he was seeing the value minute after minute of talking with our team. And from there, in my opinion, that's the best example of building loyalty with somebody and building a thought of investment, because somebody that doesn't believe in you, doesn't have the time, and the biggest thing here, and I'll go into it, is Sam Saval, owner and CEO of Anchor 3PL, felt like his team was building the plane as they were flying. They struggled to simultaneously establish internal procedures and scale the company to the face rapidly increasing customer demand. That's the biggest thing I feel like with a lot of business owners, how we can create loyalty. And what I do is, hey, let's build the plane and then fly it. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I've never seen somebody build a plane in the air. That sounds super scary. But that's how business owners feel. It's like drinking from a water hose, but then also having to know everything you're doing on top of that. So since they started working with us, they've grown their staff by 30%, increased net income by 10 times, increased revenue by 5 times, and exceeded every outline goal from 5 to 10 over. And when it says goal, kind of give you guys a background of like these meetings I'm talking about. We do quarterly meetings we call it core work. And this is where, second to none, we build the most loyalty with the business. This is where they don't leave us in our client retention is 10 to 11 years on average because of this. And the reason being is every quarter we sit down with them and we give them goals for the business. So like, hey, what are some things that you think you need to focus on as a business owner? Whether it's like, hey, you need to go in your office and dedicate 2 hours a week or every other day to manage your time, to sit in there, lock your door, have nobody come in and work on the business. What are things you need to implement? Or hey, have you had a situation to talk to X, Y, and Z players because you think they might be C players and we did an A, B, and C analysis and we want to move them up to B players so that way we can start preparing them for management opportunities within the business, because we need to start hiring on the lower level and grow the management style. Have you got to that task yet? Yes or no? And then we're diving into why or why not. And then inflection points on the business. What do your finances look like? What do your people look like? Your product, your processes, just all these things we're diving into. And the reason we do that is because we don't want you to get to something good and then it just hits the fan and then you're having to start from ground zero. So that's really where you see the growth and the increase in income and the revenue. It's because we're changing their way of thinking, and we're stopping them from building it while they're flying. It's like, hey, let's build this and then let's go take off. And so just to kind of over this, just over 10 years, founded Anchor 3PL in Salt Lake City, specializes in cargo management, route guide preparation for big box fulfillment across the Western U.S. Sam opened his doors alongside a small team whose responsibilities were to handle warehousing, logistics, and ensure packages arrive promptly to the design. And this is, and the thing is too, as you think about that, that there's a lot of things that go into a logistics business like that. But then also I feel like you think at the end of the day, okay, well, they're in it, so they probably know what they're doing. It's fine. But there's a lot more that goes into it. So the quick turnaround of logistics services is like cross-ducking, requires seamless coordination, but the demand is growing rapidly. Operating at a loosely defined policies and procedures, he knew he had the ability to effectively scale, was threatened. His team managed to keep trucks on the move, but Sam was stuck. And so that's the thing, is also what I get into is creating the loyalty within the business owner. Hey, we're not telling you what to do because we know this is your baby and we know you're good at it, but let's change your way of thinking. And stay loyal to your business and what you believe in, but let's start thinking about the employee engagement a little different. So the challenge of growing company, he knew he needed an employee management strategy to thrive within the roles, help with revenue growth, and then third-party logistics company documenting policies, procedures, trainings, reporting structures, took a backseat to the hectic nature of cargo storage and distribution. So the biggest thing too is when I saw this example of talking to them was they have their warehouse manager in there. And they also have the CFO, the CEO, and then they have the guy who's working on the hazmats. But the biggest thing is when we were in this meeting, it got to the point where they're going over okay, when a new truckload comes in, what's the checking procedure? And they're basically telling them about how the organization in the warehouse goes and like our team is. And they're like asking, hey, well, ever since you implemented this new ticketing strategy, it's been way more efficient. We've been able to unload and get things out at a faster rate, but now we're having this challenge. What do you guys think we should do here? And that's really cool to see in an advisory role that they believe in us so much, that we've been so loyal to them that they want us to help implement new strategies. And we're not even in this industry per se. It's what they know on the back of their hand, but because we're an outside lens able to help them, it makes sense. And then strategic growth planning. As Anchor 3PL's business engaged, Sam was left with little time to develop a strategic growth plan to set up for the company and sustain success. It was difficult for Sam to break away from day-to-day operations. He needed more resources, a documented plan, and capital investment to achieve his goals. So like I keep saying, build it, then fly it. That's where the value add and the investment and the loyalty comes into play, is that we're able to stand with them and make them feel like they have the time to step away from these things to overcome their challenges. And then I had a comment here. From our meetings, I developed my 3 core pillars. This is all thanks to their team prompting ours. People, excellence, and profit. Those are our pillars. So how do you have a successful business? You get the most out of your people. By doing that, you get excellence out of them, and that's how the company thrives. And then from there, that's how you have profitability. So that's really an example of how we work with them. And then the BBSI approach. So really everything I'm telling you about, but just kind of the comment here. Meeting for the first time, I was pretty hesitant because I'm not used to talking about my business. Then after 20 minutes, it was like a therapy session. You know you're pouring your heart out. Through the process, he obviously began on the 3 pillars: people, excellence, and profit. The forward-looking growth and revenue goals first expressed to BBSI helped shape and drive the core strategy. So the core strategy we're talking about are these quarterly meetings with our team and the client, really taking out the time to help them build a strategy. From our meetings, I developed 3 core pillars, and that's all thanks to them. And then obviously, again, people, excellence, and profit. Those are our pillars that are in order. So just being, and that sounds so simple, but as a business owner, when you have all of these things going on, you want to gain revenue, you need to make sure that you have enough money in the pocket to pay your people so you can keep your people. But then just being able to look in the mirror, I feel like, and say, okay, like I've taken the time to figure out what my approach is, what are my 3 focuses on a business. That goes a long way to the mental health of a business owner and helps them thrive faster. And then the business shift. So Sam and BBSI quickly built the employee handbook, like we talked about, with formal drug, sexual harassment, workplace safety policies that helps conduct the expectations for his team. So structure for us as a logistics company is critical to the success, especially order of process procedures. And BBSI assisted us in creating a handbook and policies. We had employee issues that were difficult. They walked us through it. They assisted us, consoled us, set up a series of trainings, and then we did corrective action. We identified the problem and created solutions so it happens. And so this is huge too. We're never ever gonna we're never gonna fire your employees for you or hire them for you, but we are gonna give you advice before you go talk to them. Like I gave you the example, somebody's heated. Do not get hot and just start spewing stuff out to an employee because you're mad at them, because then you create liability on yourself. Have a team to cool you off. Hey, this is what's going on. What should I do? Okay, well, here's how we should approach the conversation. Here's things you should and should not say. And just making sure that you're having everything documented is huge too. And then the growth plan, I kind of want to dive into that. Anchor 3PL exists to help shipments get to where they need to go, and BBSI helps Sam get to where he needs to. BBSI and Sam began to setting the aggressive 1, 2, 3, 5-year growth plans and determine the tactics that they need to employ and that they need to hit along the way. So that's another thing too, is creating that 1, 3, 5-year growth plan. By working on the business and not in it, I feel like that changes your mind shift of what that plan looks like. So being able to internally step back from what you're doing and working on it day in and day out and say, okay, what are the changes I need to make? Okay, so now I have and the good example is we talked to a client, hey, like I have all these people that have been working with me for 15 years, but I'm not hitting my revenue goals. And then it's like, okay, well, let's dive into it a little bit deeper. You have your revenue goals and these people have been with you for 15 years, but what's the culture of the business? Well, I'm hiring these new people and they don't feel like they're getting help from these tenured people, or they can't go to them, or they don't feel comfortable in the workspace. Okay, well, it seems like you have these people that are here and they're set and they're doing great things for you. I'm not saying they're not, but it also seems like they're also creating a culture that's standoffish, and that you need to be scaling and bringing in these new people, but because they feel threatened or don't have the training or don't have the accessibility to ask questions, well, then they don't want to be there, and then they're leaving. And so now you're stuck with these 15 people that are stuck in their ways, but they're really not getting you the revenue goals you need. Then we need to take a step back and start having conversations on A, B, and C players, and how do we approach these employees and change their mindset that growth and new people are good. So those are the things that we're really doing in the sense of helping them take that thought in the process. And now it's like, okay, now I've made a cultural shift. Now I've talked to these people and they understand the game plan for the business and what we're looking for. And now after 6 months, I'm seeing a production change and our revenue skyrocketing like we've looked like. Okay, now my 3-year plan is different. Now my 5-year plan is different because I'm not in this bump in the road anymore. I've surpassed that bump and now I can thrive farther. When you're able to kind of take that step back for a business owner and make them think like that, I just feel like that's the most loyal you can be, is because, hey, we're not saying this because we think you're doing business bad or you don't know how to run a business. We just see that you're having these pains and we want you to be able to be successful easier and faster. So the results, 4 years ago, Sam had goals in mind, but no map to get there. When we took an introductory call with BBSI, he knew he had found the solution. Sam self-described the goals as audacious, but with BBSI, they hit every single one. Just look at the data. Not only did we grow our business, but we got the right businesses, That's where they really helped me because they partnered in supporting me in strategic goals. They really helped me with the experiences they have, with all the wisdom. We set 5 times We set 5 times and 10 times the goal, been our blueprint with the growth since 2017. And then this is my last slide, but the one other document I wanted to make of kind of the value add we had, and it was pretty surreal to me. I'd never really seen anything like this. But one thing that I talked about in our main inflection points with a business owner, and it's a huge one that people don't think about, is pipeline. And the reason I say that is because I'm coming in trying to tell you about your pipeline being successful or not. Like, who are you? You don't know my business, you don't know my industry. But when you look at it, not so much in the weeds of who you're talking to, but the strategical numbers part of it, our business partner with this client actually literally said, okay, let's go through your pipeline. So leads, discovery calls, next meeting, proposal, and then closes. And then he took the bottom up approach and basically said, okay, so your percentages are all leading to a sense of you're getting to X amount of closes as a percentage. But then he basically said, let's look at where your leads are coming from, where the discoveries are coming from, where you're getting the proposals to. And in that pool of people you're talking to, like, where is the caveat? Like, where do we need to focus on the goods and the bads in that? And the reason I bring this all up is because the business owner thought that was so impactful that he had our business partner come out a week later to run a sales training for his sales staff. Just for them to think a logical way of how they're approaching their pipeline. So I just thought that was really cool on the loyalty we're building with them, that they feel very impacted by what we're doing in a positive way, that they want us to help out with their sales approach. So there's just another example of how we can impact people. And so a client forever, when you're growing a company, it's not like there's a how-to book. You're really creating innovations, efficiencies, economies, and it's nice to be able to check in with someone and say, I'm considering taking this approach. How do I do this? I love that statement because that's just a huge testament of how we want to make this an investment. We want them to feel like we're going to be loyal to them and lead them in the right direction. And just here in the DFW area, I wanted to create an idea of just the vast array of people we talk to. It's not just one industry. It's not just one type of person. It's a trucking and storage company, a mineral rights company, a commercial real estate company that does land investment, a tech company that works with business owners on integrating all their systems together. We work with a nonprofit, and if you guys aren't aware, nonprofits don't have to take on they can avoid certain taxes, like say unemployment, and we educated on them on the burden they'd be taking by working with this type of model, but they believed in it so much because they're separating from another entity and they don't know what they're doing on their own, that they wanted to incur that for the time being because they saw the value in what the team's going to bring them. Metal fabrication, just a risky business. Hey, you have procedures in place, you have trainings, you have audits going on, but let us help take a step further and help engage with your people to make sure they're being safe. Oil and gas solid controls. So insurance people come to me all the time because they have a hard time placing with the workers' comp, and we help them out. But then on top of that, we help out the business owner in delegating their dollars and how to go about all those things. A law firm, a dental device manufacturing company. And the law firm, just to dive into it, this happens quite a bit with these small medical practices and law firms. Is these people are really good at what they do, and they love it, but they're not always the best business owners in the sense of how they run it. And that's not a knock on them. It's just, it is what it is sometimes, and they're so caught up in getting these new accounts. New accounts that they have, and just making sure they're taking care of their clients, that sometimes they forget about the employee engagement. So an example is this guy's been running a law firm for 30 years. Well, he tried hiring 2-3 HR people internally, which is $60,000 to $100,000 in salary you have to incur on top of benefits and technology. And with that, they got burned like 3 times, and they were like, okay, these people aren't staying, we're making this investment, and then we're just losing money. Because if you're not aware too, on a low end, hiring an employee costs you about $5,000. On a high end, it's like $10,000 to $12,000. So imagine if your turnover's 25% of your company year after year. I mean, you're just throwing money to the wind. So then lo and behold, he said, okay, well, I know one person I'm not going to get burned by as my office manager, my daughter. Throws her in there. And funny enough, she's obviously not going to leave her dad's company, but she's getting integrated with this solution that's a competitor of ours, and she's like, I don't know how to use the technology. I barely know how to pay my people. If I have questions, I don't know who to talk to because each department is separate and they don't communicate intertwined to me as a client. And then just coming in and getting introduced to the team and going through a demo. Like literally we spent an hour with her and she goes, "This is the most impactful thing ever." And I just stopped her and I was like, "Hey, like we do this with everybody. Like this is like a base layer thing that anybody should be doing with you. So this will get better. Like you will have the engagement you're looking for." But I just wanted to touch on that because those are things that we see a lot, and these are the type of clients that we're helping out. And it's really exciting to have BBSI in the community and make an impact because my biggest thing with loyalty, and I'll leave it with this, I think this is the last slide, yeah. Biggest thing I'll leave with loyalty is, I think we'd all agree, is you can say you want to be loyal, you can talk about being loyal, but loyalty is all built through action. And I think that's what BBSI really does, and what we're looking to strive through in the community is creating that loyalty with small businesses through our actions and what we do day in and day out.